Hey guys, my name is Cody Travis, and for our group's presentation on Delta Airlines, I'll be focusing this video on the macro environment of the airline industry as a whole. The macro environment of any industry can be defined as a condition that exists in the economy as a whole, rather than in a particular region. Our group focused on 5 different aspects of Delta's macro environment, including sociocultural, technological, economic, political and legal, as well as environmental factors. These areas will represent the STEPLE analysis for Delta Airlines. First, I'll get into the socio-cultural trends that exist in the airline industry today. The socio-cultural aspect of any macro environment focuses on the demographics and psychographics that affect an industry. Our group found that the most important demographic affecting the airline industry was millennials. Millennials are more likely to travel than other age groups, and they account for a bulk of ticket sales for airline companies across the globe. People between the ages of 21 and 33 currently account for 27% of the world population and are generally located in the largest and wealthiest countries in the world, so there exists plenty of opportunities for airlines to market towards this age group. The areas shaded blue on this graph represent countries with 25 million or more millennials. Certain companies are taking actions to help draw in millennials towards choosing their airline to fly with. Joon, a subsidiary of Air France, just began operations towards the end of last year, and they exist as a flight option specifically towards millennials due to their tech-savvy and fashion-conscious flight experience. We would not be surprised for other major airlines to follow this trend and perhaps craft some sort of idea of their own along these lines, possibly even Delta. Next up on the STEPLE analysis for Delta's macro environment is the technological aspect. Technology is a key factor on airlines as there is an increasing demand for Wi-Fi compatible technology on planes. Airlines across the world are constantly updating the tech they offer on flights in order to keep up with the competition. As the world becomes more and more connected from one day to the next, technology on airlines must be able to keep up with the pressure. There are numerous examples of technological advancements being made on airlines today. One new trend emerging is the implementation of handheld devices installed into the planes themselves. This will prevent customers from having to go through the process of bringing their computer or tablet through security and onto the plane themselves, as they can simply put it into their checked luggage if they so choose. Another new feature the airlines are toying with is the use of biometric facial recognition at the gate to get on the plane. This system will be able to scan the customer's face at the gate and acknowledge their boarding pass and/or passport. The implementation of this technology would ease the long process of boarding passengers onto their flights. The overall trend that exists in the technology the airlines are adopting revolves around making the process of flying as easy and as efficient as possible for the consumer. The third factor of the macro environment has to do with economic trends in the airline industry. The most important cost that every airline faces on a day-to-day basis is that of jet fuel. Changes in cost of jet fuel can have a tremendous impact on an airline's operations. If fuel costs are low, this is good for both the airline as well as the consumer, because the consumer will have more disposable income to spend on travel. This may not be the case as fuel costs are expected to rise this year. In recent years past, the airline industry saw the price of a barrel of oil drop from an extremely high $140 during 2008 all the way down to $30 at the end of 2016. This was great news for airlines but was short-lived as the price of oil spiked back up to $70 a barrel by the end of last year. This one-year swing in oil prices costed airlines billions of dollars more on oil in 2017 than they faced in 2016. Major airlines including Delta and American experienced an increase in fuel costs from 2016 to 2017 of roughly 23%, and they expect another 25% increase by the end of this year. This is costing big airlines such as these billions of dollars and forces them to adjust the way they run their companies. Next up on the STEPLE analysis are factors that affect a company's political or legal segment. For this part of the analysis, our group chose to focus on the controversy that Delta has been facing recently with the National Rifle Association. Following the recent mass shooting that occurred at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, Delta publicly announced that they had planned to cut all ties with the NRA. Delta had previously offered NRA members discounted flights, which had interestingly enough only been utilized 13 times in the past. This caused an uproar from political figures in Delta's home state of Georgia, which is predominantly conservative and also backs the NRA. Delta was in the works of being awarded a tax break which would have saved the company roughly $40 million. This was until their CEO announced the company's decision, as Delta was no longer granted this opportunity. When asked whether or not he would go back on his decision to cut ties, Delta's CEO, Ed Bastian, said that the